Welcome to the Boston Herald newsroom. I'm Meghan Ottolini, here joined by political reporter Chris Cassidy. Chris, thanks for speaking with me.
Sure, you bet.
So, President Trump just announced that the U.S. will officially be leaving the Paris Accord. We have a little bit of tape of that, so let's take a look at that.
In order to fulfill my solemn duty to protect America and its citizens, the United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
So, Chris, can you talk first about some of the immediate ramifications of the country leaving this accord?
Right. So this is going to take effect about 3 years from now. So it'll be 2020, and it's conceivable that if there's a new president in the next election cycle, that person could basically undo this. But for right now, the United States is going to work toward pulling out of this Paris Agreement. They would really only be joined by 2 other countries that are not part of this. The interesting thing to watch will be to see if other countries also decide to pull out, whether they start having negotiations as well, and also what China is going to do. There's a lot of speculation that China now is going to take the lead when it comes to negotiating climate agreements and things like that.
And politically, I did want to say that he framed this very strongly as an economic issue, not an environmental issue. Let's look a little bit about how he spoke to that.
The Paris Climate Accord is simply the latest example of Washington entering into an agreement that disadvantages the United States to the exclusive benefit of other countries, leaving American workers, who I love, and taxpayers to absorb the cost in terms of lost jobs, lower wages, shuttered factories, and vastly diminished economic production.
So will that play well with his base, and how accurate is that? He targets China and India very heavily, saying they're developing new coal plants, coal mines. We're not doing any of that, and it's hurting jobs in the U.S.
Yeah, heading into this announcement, there was a lot of speculation about who was going to win within the White House. You had Steve Bannon arguing pull out of the Paris Accords. Then you had Ivanka Trump and Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State, as well as others, even CEOs, Mitt Romney as well, saying stay the course. And this was a Steve Bannon type of speech. There's no question about that. This really does play to that base that is all about America first. He did have a line in there about representing the people of Pittsburgh, not the people of Paris. He really reached out to those manufacturing states that led to his stunning election victory, and it basically said that this was the rest of the world was using this agreement to take advantage of the United States, and that this would help them at the cost of the United States. So that was a really interesting position that he took.
The president did say that he has plans to renegotiate either entering into this agreement or an agreement that, as he says, is more fair to the United States. How would that work? How would these negotiations even start?
Donald Trump wants to make a deal, I think, and whether or not he actually is able to do so, we will see. But it's clear that he didn't want to be the president presiding over a deal that was made by President Obama. He wants, if there's going to be a climate change agreement that the United States is part of, he wants to be the person that basically pioneered that deal. And he did call out Democrats, basically calling them obstructionists and saying, let's see if they can be non-obstructionists. So he's going to be asking Chuck Schumer and leading Democrats to sit down and come out with some kind of a deal that they can then submit to other countries. Now, I don't know if that's going to mean that they're going to try to submit this as a treaty, which would require something like 2/3 of the Senate and Congress to pass. So essentially, that would never happen unless it was a really good deal. But that essentially is what the president wants to do: is try to do something on his terms and not act on a deal that was set in place by his predecessor.
Will be interesting to follow how this deal starts and plays out, and you're the person to follow for it. So, Chris, thank you for joining me.
Sure, you bet.